Hello, lovely people, and welcome back to the Distinct and Jovial podcast. My name is Dom, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Jerry.
Hello.
I think that just defines how we are tonight. So, it is the 9th of June. It's quite early for us to record this podcast. Jerry's doing something very inconvenient. I'm going on holiday for 16 weeks.
Yeah, not if EasyJet has anything to say about that.
Yeah, not if EasyJet does have anything to say
Exactly.
about that. So we're recording this early, earlier than we normally record them. We made it a year. We made it a year of podcasts. I've got written down this is our 13th episode, but technically we've done 13 episodes already because we did that bonus one.
So it's 13 and a half, a bit like Harry Potter.
13 and a half. Yeah, well, they somehow managed to make 2 films out of 1 book.
Yeah, you got to squeeze the juice out of that orange, Dom.
Whatever it needs to be. As normal, the views that we express on this podcast are strictly our own, don't represent anybody that we work for or are friends with or whoever. This is all our own opinions, just to make sure that we don't get fired, which would be quite nice. So yeah, how you feeling, Jerry? I think your Mrs. Doubtfire hello kind of explained it very well.
Doubtfire. Yeah, I'm deliriously tired, exhausted to the point that I literally just want to break down and cry. So yeah, fantastic, and that's my usual state. I feel great.
Yeah,
How are you?
We're at peak. We're at peak.
Yeah, we're at peak.
We're at peak. It's a Thursday. We've done the majority of the week, and it's been a tough week for both of us. We both know that. I've had a couple of 12-hour days, and I know that you're struggling with some stuff. So we apologise if this is either nonsensical or just the most brilliant podcast that we've ever done in the history of known to man. We never know.
You never know. It could go either way.
With that in mind, we do plan to do a little bit of a shorter podcast this month, mainly because we are going to review all the stuff that we've done in the previous podcasts. So the topics of conversations are not going to be new. They're not going to be distinct. Well, they will be distinct because it's us two. But and based on the conversation we had before we started, this could go left field, whatever. And that means that, yeah, it's going to likely be a little bit a shorter one. But I may stick in some outtakes from the year on the end, which Jerry is very much looking forward to.
Love the outtakes. As you always used to get that situation, didn't you? When everyone used to just film would finish and the credits would come up, and then you'd just see like most of the cinema would just disappear. And then after about a minute, all of a sudden it starts showing the outtakes. And I always had that sweet satisfaction of thinking, I've seen the outtakes, you haven't. You left too early. So you're going to be queuing up at the car park whilst I'm watching outtakes.
Oh, I do remember like going to the cinema and having to literally queue to get out the car park when a film finished. Especially as the cinema where I grew up, the Swindon one, the car park. So as you go out of the car park, it's a no right-hand turn. You're supposed to. It's like almost like a slip road into just a normal road, and it's a no right-hand turn. And it's not even 100 meters to the roundabout that you're supposed to spin it round.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that still did that right-hand turn, and all it took is for one, and it's Swindon, so there are regularly police cars going around for anyone that knows the reputation of Swindon. So the amount of times you'd sit there and you'd just suddenly see a couple of blue lights, but like, oh, someone was turning right on a no right-hand turn. But yeah, you used to queue for hours after the cinema, and you're just like, I just want to go home.
I think it's probably the best way to summon the emergency services. Well, certainly the police anyway, isn't it? Because if you're being attacked by a hammer, the police won't be there. No. But if you're being attacked if you say to your attacker, look, do you mind if we just get in the car, drive to the Swindon Cinema car park and take a right, they'll be there. Like that.
They'll be there. It's like it's like a radar sense. Interestingly, going back to outtakes, I mean, that's probably developed you to be prepared for the Avengers films and stuff like that, or the MCU films where you wait till the bonus credit scenes. But the biggest respect I had for a company was things like Pixar, that Toy Story and things like that, where they would animate bloopers.
Yeah,
just for the heck of it.
Yeah, that's genius. I love that. That fair play to them.
Spending additional time.
Yeah. Can you imagine? You just say, "Oh, by the way, you think you finished the film," and then one of the studio execs comes and says, "I want 4 minutes of outtakes." What?
Yeah.
My hand. I've got cramp. My mouse hand. I've got carpal tunnel syndrome, and now you want me to do outtakes?
Yeah. And they're all there. Like so. Toy Story and Monsters Inc. are probably the two that I can picture off the top of my head, where they animated things.
Funnily enough, they're the only two I can remember.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm just trying to think of the other Pixar films that might be. They may have stopped them sort of around WALL-E kind of era.
Really, they haven't done them since.
I can't think of any in WALL-E. Okay. And I'm trying to think of films after WALL-E by Pixar.
You're just thinking.
Was it actually? Is it Pixar? Might be.
With the wrong person.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to be slewed if I get it wrong. Right, I've got a thing in Toy Story. Is that or is that? Yeah, Walt Disney Pixar Animation Studios. Together.
I don't get really nervous about it.
Well, I don't. It gives my friends another opportunity to take the absolute living out of me.
Yeah, but that's what they get. That's where they derive their enjoyment. Dom, don't deprive them that.
So I'm just.
By the way, can I just say, whilst you're looking for that, every time you do your intro bit and you say, "Oh, by the way, the views are our own," and it always reminds me of what they say in at the end of each film when they say all characters and events in this show, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All
yes.
Celebrity voices are impersonated. The following program contains coarse language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've just looked up what films have bloopers. So 5 films. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 films. Have a guess. The first one's Toy Story.
Toy Story, Monsters Inc. Definitely.
Yep. I'll give you a clue. One of them is a sequel.
Toy Story 2.
Yes, but there aren't any in Toy Story 3, or is there up to 4 now?
Oh, I don't know. If it's anything like Fast and Furious, probably up to about 15.
Yeah.
Cars?
So you've got... no. So one was released in 2004 and one was 98.
Oh, God.
So which films... And as soon as I saw the name of the 98 one, I was like, yes, I do remember actually.
98? Don't know.
Bug's Life.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I do remember them doing the Bug's Life one. The one I don't remember, 2004. This because it's got more human-based people. So the other ones are toys and animals and monsters, but this one is based on a family.
Oh,
Oh, I can hear the brain whirring. We're too tired
trust
for this.
me. There's no grease in the cogs, so they're not even moving.
Hear it screaming out.
I don't know.
The Incredibles.
The Incredibles. No, the one I was thinking of was the one where they've got the family, but it goes into their brains, and they've got the
emotions as characters.
Yes.
Inside Out.
Inside Out. That was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. No. Inside Out must be nearly 2015 release, I think.
No. Really?
Yeah.
As recent as that? I thought it was quite an old film.
Well, 2015 was 7 years ago. Oh, I've got it bang on. It was 2015.
Really?
And 2015 is 7 years ago, Jerry.
Yeah, this is getting depressing now when people say, oh, like 20 years ago. And you think, okay. But like 30 years ago was, that's 90s.
92.
92. 30 years ago.
30 years ago. It's when you meet somebody and they go, and I saw this on a video, and they go, oh, when's your birthday? 2000 and he's like, 2000 and? That's a compound sentence? No, hang on.
Compound sentence.
2000 and?
Yeah, well, when people ask me when my birthday is, and I go 1970, and then you get the whoa. 70? Whoa.
It's not. It's if you get ID'd now, you go up and you hold out the ID and they go, yeah, you're fine. And you're like, how did you see that that fast? I saw the 1 at the beginning. And you're just like, oh, yeah, that's true, isn't it?
I'll get my coat. It's like that meme where they've got like, is it Wheel of Fortune, and you got to pull the thing down. And it clicks through the thing, but they grab it. So whenever I go onto a site and it says you have to confirm your age, and I have to go on to the years, I could just like, here we go, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. 72, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I know that I've got to that stage now where it's no longer on the first page. Like, oh, muddy.
Yeah, no chance.
Or when it's like, please, what age are you? And it's like between 0 and 16, 16 and 24, 24 and like 35. And you're like, oh, I'm up another level, am I?
Whenever I've done those things, I've always fallen into the category of old, regardless. So even when I was in my 30s, if I had to fill one of those things out, it was like, what are you? Are you 10 to 16? 16 to 21, 21 to 29, or old. And then when I'm in my 40s, it kind of stops at the year before my actual
39,
age, and then it goes, 39, old.
Yeah, it's like, quick, Jerry's coming, let's get him.
Yeah. Now I'm 49, so it'll say 48. Why is it stopping at 48? And then old.
Yeah.
Damn you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can hear my, it's because it's my dad's birthday next week, and he's 60 next week. So yeah, I can hear my mum and my dad being like, "You don't know what you're talking about."
He's a spring chicken.
A spring chicken.
He is.
I don't think that's the phrase that he would use.
Trust me, he's a succulent, tender piece of chicken.
That's not sure the phrase my mum would use.
There's meat on those bones. He's a young lad.
He certainly thinks he is.
He is. I'm saying that from the point of view of someone who's only 11 years younger than him.
It's true.
Right? There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I assume that your daughter takes as much out of you as...
Oh, yeah, she loves it. She loves taking the piss out of me. Fair play. Fair play.
You will do it. So, as we said, we're gonna review kind of what we've done over the last year in terms of stuff. So there won't be any poignant questions because there are 120 poignant questions that we've done over the last year. And I thought that would probably take a little bit long for us to go through. Or it's a little bit less actually, because there isn't quite 12 for some of these, because sometimes we didn't do a conspiracy theory. Sometimes we only did 5 poignant questions, like our Q&A special, and last time we did a lot more topical stuff. So yeah, but yeah, no poignant questions, but we'll do all the other ones. So, the best of the food of the month, and I'm just going to read out what we've done over the year. What is our go-to meal deal? Which we had an excellent conversation over dysentery and and medieval times during our go-to meal deal.
Yeah, medieval meal deal.
Our go-to McDonald's breakfast. Go to pizza topping, Nando's order, and then we did a baked goods tiered list, which is what we did with Laura when she was a guest. Our go to Subway sandwich, a Christmas food tier list, best romantic or fancy meal, and then in March we had Adam on, and we did all the previous ones with Adam, so we went through that. Then we did a snack wars, and then we did what our alcoholic beverage is. Which,
Snowball.
having yesterday posted the clip from our previous podcast, which goes beverage wars
Beverage
from Jerry,
wars.
which I deliberately made sure that was most of the clip.
Beverage wars.
So those are the ones that we've done. Which I suppose the question for me, for us both, is probably which one do we think was our favourite, and any kind of memorable bits from it.
I'm always going to have a soft spot for the medieval meal deal. Meal deal from medieval times.
Yeah,
which just came out of nowhere.
Well, that was the one where I was very not concerned about our podcast, but I did wonder about which direction the podcast would go in future, because it was so left field. I was like, "What? Where did that come from?"
Yeah, because you go into what was the 1400s equivalent of Tesco's?
Probably was Tesco's.
Probably, yeah, probably. Oh, I'll have a turkey leg. Some mead.
No, I thought
and
it was
a raw potato.
Yeah, raw potato. Yeah, no, I'll just get
Turn
a cup. Let me just pull out from that puddle that's outside.
Yeah, puddle water. I remember the puddle water. God, that takes me back. So I'll always have a soft spot for the first one. The pizza topping one was hilarious because I was so anti pineapple on the pizza.
Yeah.
And
also go.
Yeah, no, go on.
No, so our guest that I've got lined up for us in a couple of months' time. Spoilers alert. He owns a T-shirt that says "Part of the Pineapple on Pizza Club."
Yeah, we're gonna have to unpack that. If he's listening to this, we're gonna have to unpack that.
Yeah. It's a really nicely designed T-shirt. It's just a shame it says
sure it
Pineapple on Pizza Club.
I'm sure it is. I don't doubt that.
Dear.
What's your favourite one?
I find the McDonald's one for me just brings because it was such for a good number of podcasts, it was such a almost like a metal thread through a couple of the things, because it was like, right, I need a way to annoy Jerry. So, Jerry, shall we get a burger at 9:00 in the morning?
Yeah.
From McDonald's. Wait, they don't do it.
It kept giving, didn't it? It kept giving.
Gift that keeps on giving. So that would definitely in terms of like rantathon, that was a really good one. And the snack wars I think was good from a video perspective. Even though I ate some very questionable food.
That including the Twinkie, which you're gonna have nightmares about that.
Yeah, I've got mild PTSD. There's no other way to do it.
As well as something that's one molecule away from plastic coursing through your system.
What one molecule? I don't know about one molecule. It pretty much.
It's one molecule.
The best way to describe a Twinkie is it's fake cream covered in plastic made moist.
Yeah,
that's the best way to do it.
You're safe for eating rat poison. Actually, that's a bit harsh.
That's harsher than rat poison.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't know about anything else.
If you put Twinkie down for rats, it's that bad. Rats will think, "Oh, I'm not touching that."
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They've taken it too far now.
It'll be as you shove the rat poison inside the Twinkie, they'll come along and be like, "Just give me the poison." Just off me now. I haven't got. Just let me unalive myself. If you're all you've got is Twinkies, I'm done. Oh wait, there's the wrapper. I'll have the wrapper instead. Let me choke on that.
We've learned. Which is probably more. The wrapper's probably more organic.
Yeah, it is. Which it would be you know those experiments that they do where they stick, they go, this won't dissolve for like 40,000 years. I wonder if you could get the plastic wrapping the cardboard box and the Twinkie, and which one would decompose first? Oh, look, 40,000 years, the plastic wrapping's there. Twinkie, still fairly edible. Well, in a sense of it never was edible, but it's...
So it's in exactly the same state.
It's in the same state.
Nice.
It's in the same state. So, yeah, those are, I think, are the ones that that I definitely enjoyed. But they were all good. I think we've done ourselves kind of well for this. And the food one, the guest that we've got coming on, he's a big foodie. He runs a foodie Instagram, so we're gonna come up with some real big food stuff for that one, which I'm looking forward to. And both me and Jerry are pretty big foodies.
And I need to ask him. In fact, here's a bit of research for a bit of homework for him pre our podcast to look up side surf. Is it side surf or cider surf cakes? And it's honestly, this lady makes cakes that I've never seen anything like it. You literally cannot tell the difference. So she'll have 4 apples. One of them will be a cake apple, but you will never be able to tell the difference. And she does all these little mini videos, and then all of a sudden she comes along and she cuts the apple cake.
Oh, do you mean like, is it cake, real or cake?
Yes, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, real or cake. And there's a show on Netflix that has that.
But I think here we go. Side surf.
Side surf.
Her name is Natalie Sides. I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrong. It's probably like cider surf or.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Appointment only. Bakery known for creating extreme fine art cakes and cookies. Oh, is it going to be some real fancy where they like you get like a piece of chocolate and they like carve it into like the Millennium Falcon or something like that?
No. Look, I tell you what. If you've gone to Google, if you've gone to Google Images, she made a cake of her own head and then took a slice out of it. And you literally, if she hadn't taken a slice out of her head, you wouldn't know which is real, which is the cake.
The first one, the first one that's on the thing is the sardine can. That where it's like, is it a sardine can or is it a cake?
Oh, it's coming up with something different on yours. So if I put side surf, hang about. What did you search on? Side surf cake.
Yeah. Oh, the turtle is amazing. So
have you seen the onion?
The onion has layers. Cakes have layers. Onions have layers.
It's honestly, she is beyond talented.
Mad. And yeah, even if you just gave me a pen, I wouldn't even be able to create that.
No, I know, it's insane.
I can do stick
Absolutely
figures.
Insane. Oh, here we go. There's a sardine. Yeah. She's done a gherkin, which just looks like a gherkin. The onion is incredible.
That is.
She's done Baby Yoda.
That'll be the challenge that Laura set us when she set us our baking one. She'd be like, right, make a cake that's some kind of realistic, and I'll be like, on your bike.
Yeah. Okay. Here you go. What's that? Just looks like a cake. Yeah. That was an achievement. I made a cake that looks like a cake.
No, it would be a case of I made something. Oh, it looks like it doesn't. It looks like a mess. I was like, that's because it is a mess. Is it cake or is it a mess? It's both.
It's like a cake version of Eton Mess.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you want.
You just call it Jovial Mess.
Yeah, we will. I will say to our listeners, it's not running out of food items, but if there are other things that you can think of, I've probably got I think I've got about 10 at the moment written down, so we've got loads of others that we can kind of do with people. I know that our guest will come up with quite a few things in his like foodie knowledge, but if there are any others that people want to hear us discuss and give our opinions about, and potentially be sued by a large corporate company, then feel free to make suggestions.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
We're here to put our necks on the line. Next bit then, so we had the best conspiracy theory.
We've had some corkers.
We've had some corkers. So we had opinions on the theory that Keanu Reeves is immortal. Opinions on the theory that Avril Lavigne is dead and is being portrayed by her sister. opinions on the theory that we eventually reach a level 6 civilization. I remember writing that down and went, I forgot we did that one.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I said we wouldn't even reach 0.00001.
Not with all the mess that's going on in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
I think. Do you think that, so sort of semi-serious question, do you think that the world is worse off than where we were a year ago when we started this podcast?
Oh, faux shizzle. We're going backwards. We have done, I would say, last 22 years, we have gone backwards. I'm not. Yeah, honestly, I'm not even kidding. So this goes back to a conversation that we had with a certain person that we're friends with, that we also work with. And I said in the chat, you tell me. So if you think about,
I now remember that conversation.
Last 100 years, all of the things that we've achieved as a race over the last 100 years. Well, so let's take it from 1900 to the year 2000, and then you look at it from the year 2000 to today, and literally all that anyone could come up with is, we've got the internet and social media, and that's it.
And I think social media is a step backwards.
Yeah, that is absolutely a step backwards. It's done way more harm than good. So we've literally regressed. We haven't done anything of note in the last 22 years.
Or at least, I think in terms of, in terms of like our technology and in terms of like us as a species, I don't think we've progressed at all. I agree. I think the one main place that I think we have made progress is at least recognizing that we are screwing ourselves up. Mental health is definitely, if you go back 22 years, for me, like mental health and things like that, it just was ignored. And I think that's why it's probably perceived as worse now, because we at least are open and honest, whereas 22 years we hid it ago. But social media, the general state of like the current war in Ukraine, coronavirus, all these types of things, they definitely have like caused us as a species to regress. And I know that I personally, as a human being, now I don't know whether that's because I'm getting old, but I'm not, when you actually think about it, I'm not that old, or whether it's just because this world is so much more exhausting than it was 5 years ago, especially.
It's gone to shit in a shit basket. We're in a world today now where if you phone an ambulance, it's going to take hours to reach you. You phone any company to try and get through to their call center. If you're lucky enough that they still advertise their phone number, and you phone their call center, you'll be on that waiting on hold for like an hour and a half, because they won't have any staff. There was a point not so long ago you couldn't even buy any bog roll.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah,
I wonder what all those people who stockpiled bog roll. How are you doing? Do you sit on a throne made of this bog roll? Because some of you bought like literally hundreds of rolls.
I hope they got splinters.
And I don't splinters.
Yeah, splinters
from the book.
I've got a fact about that, actually. Did you know? I'm reading a book about the history of the Green Bay Packers, and there was a company, that set up in Green Bay, and it was 1897 or 1896 something. It was a paper mill that also manufactured toilet roll. they released at that time the first. It was guaranteed splinter-proof toilet paper, and I'm thinking, whoa, dude, that's. Can you imagine? No, I mean, don't imagine it. Don't dwell on it. You will wake up in a cold sweat.
Yeah, I've already done it. I've already said that. I was thinking that before the podcast. I've already woken up in a cold sweat this week. I do not need that. And this is where the French are just laughing at us, going, we just use water.
They've got the right idea. They have, really.
It's the second best invention from the French: wine and bidets.
I tell you, do you know, I am a real Francophile. I love France. I just and yeah, I do, and I love the French attitude. I just love the French they've got it sorted. I'm sorry, but they've got it sorted. with the mugs, they've got it sorted.
I only have one rule with the French: as long as we stuff them in the rugby, I'm happy.
They've got a damn good rugby team.
They did well this year in the Six Nations.
They've got a damn good football team as well.
Yeah, I would. They've got good individual players in France.
France is underrated. So I love rap music. I really do like my rap and hip hop. French rap, French hip hop is amazing. Oh my!
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be
God.
quite impressive.
It's next level, but no one knows about it. And I'm not talking about just like your mainstream stuff like MC Solar. I'm talking, they've got some incredible French rap.
Yeah.
If you go to French supermarkets, their manga section, for example, all the stuff that you can't buy here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're so big on their comics and their manga. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. And I suppose it is quite a nice attitude that the French have, is that we will stick it in our language. Quite a lot of the other European countries kind of embrace, but they're really proud of their thing, which is good. You should be. I don't. I've become very. What's the phrase? Humbled / like I've got so much respect for any Ukrainian.
Oh yeah,
they're so proud of their country, and they should be, what their country is currently going through and what they're doing. But it's interesting. There'll always be exceptions, but perhaps maybe when you look at the French and Ukrainians, they are proud without being arrogant, whereas some of the British people that are proud of their British heritage, you just think, oh dear God, what is wrong with you, man?
British and American, there's nothing wrong with being patriotic, of course not. But I think that there is a fine line between being staunchly patriotic, and I am, and I'm if someone says to me, who's the person that you'd want to have dinner with if you could pick any historic character from history, not character but any person from history, it would be Churchill. I would. I'd spend an evening just talking to Churchill, because I'd be fascinated to hear what he has to say, what he actually managed to do in spite of what he faced, which is incredible. But I've read so many war books and what he managed to achieve was just monumental, really.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree. And to be honest, anything is better than the spineless people that we've currently got in Parliament. So. But I said I wouldn't talk about politics.
No. Step away. Step away.
Yeah. So, that opinion on that theory, the Civilization 6, are we going to reach it? No.
Right chance.
Then we had the Pixar film universe, Pixar theory universe.
That was
the
deep.
Mandela effect, which I've forgotten that we did the Mandela effect, but Laura came up with an absolute corker, which reignited my re-love for The Matrix. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Laura.
For that one. The Valentine's Day origins and is it made up for marketing? I love that you've just put some notes here that just say, yep. Then Adam bought the spurious correlations, which was the number of people that have died falling off a ladder correlates the number of people who have died while cycling on a bicycle and hit a stationary object. Coincidence? You think not. And then the last one was your favourite person ever, Jerry. Is Elon Musk an alien just trying to get home? Which, by the way, the more I read, the more... So, like, I'll be honest. When I, if we go back to like 4 or 5 years ago when he started Tesla, I was quite impressed with what he'd done.
I was as well.
And some of his business exploits.
Yeah.
But now, I just think, what is he doing? What is wrong with the man? Like, if a non-rich person, like somebody who wasn't rich and powerful, acted the way that he did, they would be in a padded room with no windows.
I agree.
There's no other way around that at all. So, yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, he's living in his own world. No, I can't. I've got to try and keep my blood pressure down. I'm going to keep my blood pressure down. Your doctor's going to come.
Your doctor's going to be the one that's going to tell you you're not allowed to do your podcast anymore because it's increasing your blood pressure too much.
If you're going to do it, just don't talk about Elon Musk. Okay.
Or McDonald's.
Or level 6 civilizations.
We just need to put the world to rights, Jerry. That's what we need to do.
Or pineapple.
Pineapple is okay. Pizza is brilliant. Combined,
not so much.
Not so much. Fruit in food. That was your
fruit in food. Yeah. That's my pet hate.
Yeah. Raisins in a curry was always the one that got. Oh, is there raisins in my curry?
Like I'm starting to feel that prickly heat.
Yeah. The best conspiracy theory, I think, to be honest, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did 8 over the kind of year. We didn't really have a bad one, let's be honest.
No, we didn't. No, I think the only one that I struggled with was the Avril Lavigne. I didn't have too many. I didn't really know what to say or contribute to that. The Pixar films one, I was just in awe of what you covered that. That was fantastic. I think the one that blew my mind away was the Mandela effect.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're big fans of The Matrix and how like this virtual reality and that Mandela effect kind of put into light. Like, oh yeah, when you think about this, it's actually thoughts from another universe that you're thinking. And it was like, and it's like, oh my God, Laura, what have you done to my brain? It genuinely hurts.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And that was also, I think, oh no, it was the week before, or the month before, the month before, we also had the Q&A special, where Yevgeny came up with the metaverse question as well,
yes.
which you can also link. So we've discussed this quite a bit about, are we in some kind of metaverse Ready Player One / The Matrix type thing at the moment? So yeah, it's like. Oh.
Although if you want to sort of correlate that back to, are we anywhere near a level 6 civilization or heading that way? I would say we're probably in a Commodore 64, 64-bit kind of game.
And some ham-fisted fool is trying to type this in. You made a typo on line 12. God damn it.
Syntax error. Line 380. Ah. Damn you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I need to clean the cassette tape head.
How do you do... I've never seen one, so how do you do that?
So you have... oh, God. I had this... It was weird. So the cassette tape cleaner looked exactly like a cassette tape. It was exactly the same, but instead of having cassette spool, it had like this furry bit on the bottom, which you used to get cassette head cleaner, which is like an alcohol that used to drip onto this furry bit. You used to put the tape in and just press play.
Okay. So and you just like spin through and
it's
like having a brush on the
exactly.
On the bit. I know what a cassette is. I fortunately I was around just for cassettes and I won't say videos, but what's the shorthand? VHS.
Yeah, VHS and Betamax. Yeah.
No, I don't know Betamax.
Oh, okay.
Betamax is I'm after Betamax. VHS, DVD, streaming,
Laserdisc.
Yeah, and then
digital
songs.
audio tape. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, digital. So at the same time that you had CDs, they were like, "Oh, let's throw something else into the mix," because they always did that. So you had VHS. It's like, "Oh, what about Betamax?" You had CDs, but then you had digital audio tapes, which was basically like digital shiny tape in a little cassette.
Okay. So it was like obviously the way that CDs work is it's literally
so
binary,
instead of
dots and ones.
Yeah, you had dots and ones on tape instead of dots and ones on the disc.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you could. I remember at that time you could, and it cost a bloody fortune. You could get DAT tape players for the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Just trying to think. What did I have a tape player in my first car?
Oh, I did. In fact, that's all I had in my first car.
I think I had actually, my first car was Italian. My first car was a Fiat Punto. So I don't think it had anything in the middle because it was Italian and nothing worked.
Yeah, that's about right.
And I went through 2 engines
There you go. Did it have
Which
wheels?
was great. It did have wheels. Do you know, actually, that Fiat Punto, right,
Were they square?
No, so Mark II Fiat Punto. So it was not quite the really square one. It was they just round it. I think it was a Mark II. Mark.
I'm gonna Google that now.
II. Oh, was it? It might have been. No, it might have been a Mark. No, it was a Mark One. I had a Mark One Punto. And oh God, I'm going to tell some stories that my mum is going to absolutely cringe. But hey ho. So it was brilliant because it was a 1.2 petrol. So tiny little engine, no such things as turbos from those days. It was a V-Reg, V962 FMW. That. Yeah. So I had a yeah. Yeah.
What colour was it?
It was brilliant. It was blue, and the seats were magenta.
Oh, Dom, that's bad.
That was the best bit. The seats were magenta, and you know when a car gets really hot, an old car gets really hot, and you've got that like plasticky smell, right? Yeah. That was permanent. Doesn't matter what the weather was. That was just permanent. But it was absolutely fantastic because
that's bad.
you could go. It was so slow that you could go flat out, and you'd only be doing about 60 miles an hour, which meant I just went flat out everywhere around, because it just didn't go fast enough to ever be dangerous. I mean, if I did crash it, I would have instantly been killed because it would. You could lean on it and it would crumple, but it was a great little car, and used to just the engine revved to 9,000, or the red line was at 8.5, which for an engine is a lot, which is probably why it blew up, because I used to just you'd rev the knackers off it and get through it. But yeah, I did go through a couple of engines.
There's something on here. It's a Fiat Punto. And it says Ian Royal reviews a used N-Reg Fiat Punto, which has a 1.1 litre engine and a very low 55 brake horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I had the 1.2, so I had 64.
64 horsepower. That's shocking.
64. Yeah.
You can only buy them for scrap now, for parts.
Yeah. You can't buy them that would actually run.
That's shocking. It's not a good-looking car, is it, Dom?
No, not in... The blue was a nice colour, but it was a shocking-looking car. The magenta seats, that really sold it. I had it for 9 months, and then my mum told me to get rid of it because the dripping oil from the... I got the car just as she got block paving on the drive.
Oh, yeah, that's
my car was dripping oil, and she just used to come out, "Your car's dripping oil on my drive again."
No, that's what your mum said to you. I think I know the real reason. I think she was embarrassed.
Probably.
I don't think she could take the shame.
No, right. No, actually, she can't be. So the car that my mum currently drives a Skoda Citigo. So it's even smaller than... It's a tiny little car.
Skoda Citigo. Oh, here we go.
So it's a tiny little car. It's like the same as the Volkswagen. It's the same as the Volkswagen.
It's a cute little car.
Yeah, a cute little car. My mum has it in bright yellow.
Whoa.
And she has the number plate, and I'm not going to reveal the whole number plate of my mum's car, but it ends LUV. So my mum has a bright yellow Citigo with the personalised registration plate of love. So if my mum tells me that she wanted me to get rid of the Fiat Punto because she's embarrassed, she needs to get out. Because me and my sister and my dad have had to forcibly stop her from buying eyelashes for her car.
I said she should do it. Definitely.
Not encourage my mother to do that.
I know what to get for Christmas. I'm going to do it.
Oh, no.
Has she got the racing stripes on the bonnet? You can get 2 black racing stripes.
No, it is just pure yellow. But she's a hooligan because she'll go, "I'm going to have him." Sat at a pair of lights. She's like, "Mum, he's driving like a Range Rover." "Yeah, I'm going to have him though." and And do you know what? It's interesting because it really annoys people to see this 60-year-old woman in a bright yellow city go be like, lights turn green and suddenly this little city goes pew and just shoots off before everyone else, and you can see them all go, what happened?
What the hell? She just did a Fast and Furious on me.
Yeah. He wasn't racing you. He did. He looked at me.
He revved just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
He was asking for it.
The stupid thing is, it doesn't matter what it is. She's beaten everything. She does. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna have them all. And she, pew. Mother, you're a hooligan.
Love it. I love the fact that I'm just having a look at the boot space. So you'd be hard pressed to fit a sandwich in there. You couldn't fit a club sandwich.
It's very small.
It's very small.
But the passenger space is actually, I can sit behind my mum when she's driving. Now, and my mum's not, she's 5'6", so she's not massively tall, but she's not short. So, and I am this ridiculous gangly giraffe, as you are well aware, Jerry. I've got I met somebody for the first time since I hired them 6 months ago. The first thing they said was, fucking hell, you're taller than I thought you were going to be.
Do you know, I would turn that round the other way. I'm shorter than I thought I was. Actually, I do think that way. I don't think, oh, you're taller than I always think, oh, actually, I'm shorter than
I expected.
I thought. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm just a gangly giraffe. Yes, yeah. But the passenger space is pretty good in it. Not really an advert for the car, but I can't complain. It's what? It's a 14 plate. So what's that? 8 years old, and I don't think it even has 30,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
that's how little my mother drives.
Yeah, my dad, for example, he's obsessed with constantly having his tyres pumped up, but he only does like 37 miles a year in his car. And his car, I think his car's like 40 years old, and it's done a total of like 3,500 miles, and he's just obsessed with keeping the tyres pumped up. And just think, yeah, you don't do enough mileage, but he's just got this thing about, I needed to pump up the tyres. Yeah, okay, Dad.
Yeah, my dad's car is a I think it's either a 16 or an 18 plate. It's either 2 or 4 years newer. It's got 130,000 miles on it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
Tyres on that need pumping.
Tyres on pumping. Dad just needs a new car, if I'm totally honest. That one's been broken he's got no air conditioning.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's the bit.
What does he do when it's really hot? Does he Ace Ventura it? Does he stick half his head out the window?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's you know why I drive when I'm with my parents. It's like, do I want to be in the back of my mum's car where she drives like an absolute hooligan, or do I want to drive, or go in my dad's car with no air conditioning, or do I drive?
If you're going to pass out due to dodgy driving, at least you want to do it in a car that's got air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
By the way, sorry, just a quick caveat. I'm not saying that anyone's a dodgy driver here. And these views are all my own, apart from that one. I was coerced to say it by somebody, and I'm not willing to reveal their name. Don't sue me.
That was well off piece.
It was.
So yeah, the conspiracy theory. I mean, the Mandela effect, I think, is brilliant.
Yeah,
and I did love the spurious correlations.
That was very funny. I did like that.
It's so random. I couldn't believe how weird some of that data was.
It was odd.
Oh dear. Next bit then. So out of the three things that we've kind of do that aren't poignant questions, although I have thought of my favourite not topical, like bonus thing that we did that I just remembered that we did, which I'll talk about in a minute. Best of improving our health.
I don't think I've ever failed so miserably.
I mean, we'll go through these, but I think it'll be interesting to hear how we did. I mean, we got the drink 2 litres of water every day.
Yeah, I do that now. I do that now.
Yeah, I mean, Laura was the one that coined the phrase, I have the constitution of a jellyfish. I mean, if I have less than 3 litres of water a day, I kind of shrivel up and die. I'm not going to reveal the rest of the statement that she then says. That one will be offline.
And off-piste.
It'll be off-piece, definitely. Read 10 pages of a book.
Yep, definitely.
I've done something different recently, actually, which we can talk about. Meditation, 4 days a week exercise, the cooking challenges, which no, Laura, we are not going to do cake or not, because ours will be very clearly not cake and not something else. It just be a mess. Process rather than output goals. New Year's resolutions. We had a discussion about New Year's resolutions. The just one thing, the selfless act that Adam set us, and learning a language, learning Ukrainian on Duolingo, or our choice of learning app. There are others, but ours happen to be Duolingo. So the 10 pages of the book, which I'll just kind of jump straight into that. So I have I've found that I don't have the ability to read very well. So I'm buying my books twice. And you're going to laugh at this. And everyone is going to laugh at this. And it's the best thing I've ever done. So the book I'm currently reading, I own it in audiobook and I own it as a book. And if I want to read the book, I will put the audiobook and I will listen to the audiobook while reading it. So it's almost like I'm having someone tell it to me and I'm reading it as well. So it's like follow along. Now, I don't know whether that makes me sound like I'm like 6 years old.
That's like watching a film in English with English subtitles.
Yes. Which I do as well, by the way. I have subtitles on quite frequently.
Do you really? Why is this news to me? I didn't know this. Okay.
So the book one, the book I'm reading at the moment is called, I want to say it's called Persuasion. Yeah, but it's kind of like a dumbed down is the wrong term. It's actually quite academic. It's almost like an academic journal to a certain extent, kind of put into like readable form. So it's not quite as things, but there are a couple of times we're like, oh my god, it's a bit dry. And I found that I really want to absorb the information, like some of the stuff that they come out on, like the psychology behind persuasion and things like that. And a really good friend of mine, Kasia, who she's in the category of what I would label as one of the most perfect humans in the world.
Was she the one with like 15 doctorates and she can speak 48 languages and okay.
Yeah, and she's like, she encourages you to be kind to yourself, and she's just a wonderful, lovely human being. But yeah, so she bought me that book, and then I bought the audiobook because I really wanted to read the book and absorb it. And I found that if I'm just listening to it on the audio, there's a couple of times where I'm like, oh, I can't quite visualize that, because it would be like, please refer to the PDF on, like, in that's attached to this audiobook here. Whereas if I've got the actual book in front of me, I can then see the graphs that they're referring to when they talk about this stuff. Wow, and I can do that. But then also, when I'm reading it along with somebody speaking to it, it's like a dual sensory thing. So it really works. I haven't done that with like fictional books. Fictional books I enjoy just as audiobooks, and I'm very happy to have them just as audiobooks for the car. But I started that, and I don't do it every night. I do it normally I do it at the weekends for like half an hour, or a Friday or something like that. I'll just sit and I'll be like, I want to read this book and play this audiobook. So yeah.
Okay.
And then subtitles on movies. So the first time I watch a movie, I'll watch it without subtitles. But usually, if I've got a movie on in the background, so quite often I'll put on, like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or The Gladiator, or what else do I really enjoy watching? Scott Pilgrim versus the World, those types of films. I'll have the subtitles on, because sometimes you can read on the subtitles something that's you've missed in the background that's happening.
Yeah. All right.
Because
Okay, I get it.
they'll put the subtitles for everything that happens.
Okay.
And if it's in the background and I'm wandering around and if I'm just kind of, I'm sat at the other side of the room or I'm in the kitchen, which for those that don't know, I just have a room which has got everything in. Sometimes I'll be, I don't know, cutting up vegetables and I'll look up at the thing and I can read the subtitles even if sometimes the sound doesn't quite permeate me cutting something on the chopping board.
Got it. Okay, so yeah, I knew there'd be a logic there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm genuinely a very logical person.
You are.
If a little bit simple.
No. You are super logical. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm intrigued. There's got to be a reason why you watch a film in English with English subtitles, and now I understand. Yeah. Thank you. I feel enlightened. Yeah.
So, and interesting fact for you: if you've got children that are learning to read, putting the subtitles on a film increases their ability to learn to read and the speed at which they learn to read exponentially. I'm not sure you could use it with your daughter, considering that she's 18. I'm pretty sure she'd be a bit miffed if you told her, "This is why I'm putting the subtitles on for you."
Still try it. She'll still shout at me.
What are you doing, Dad?
You're so embarrassing. What are you doing? Yes. Yeah, because everything I do is embarrassing. Everything. Yes.
Or cringe.
Yeah, that's real cringe with it. But I'm just humming. Yeah, that's really embarrassing. Okay.
What was the one that she? Oh, it was waistcoats.
Yeah, she yeah, no, please. Yeah, she said, "Oh, don't ever wear a waistcoat when we're out together, ever." I got these sunglasses. They're not really sunglasses. They're glasses, but they've got blue lenses in it. Oliver People's glasses with this blue lens in it. And Rachel said to me, I wore them once, and she said, "Don't ever." She didn't even say ask nicely. She just said in a really quite a threatening. It wasn't even passive aggressive. It was just full on aggressive. Don't ever wear those out with me again. Like, okay, fair enough. I haven't worn them since. Thanks for that, Rachel. Really appreciate your support and understanding. Thank you.
Really cut you deep there.
Oh, she does get right to the heart of the matter.
At least she's honest.
Hey, you know where you stand. Fair play to her.
I was going to ask: is it a silly question to ask which side your wife is? Whose side your wife is on?
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
It's just a given. I suppose which was your favourite out of the improving your health, and which one do you think probably has the most benefit?
So my favourite is reading the 10 pages of a book, because that was the easiest one for me, and I'd read about 50 pages a night, and I do get the most from that. But it was also the least challenging. The one that I actually got most from was the process goals rather than output goals.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Because at that point, if you look back, we were like, read 10 pages of a book, drink 2 liters of water. Whereas what it should be is, as a process, I'm going to read a book.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter whether I read a sentence or whether I read 3,000 pages.
Yeah.
Read a book.
Just read a book. It's such a game changer, because it takes all the pressure off. And because of that, it becomes so much more sustainable. So you're much more likely to ingrain a long-term repeatable pattern, a habit.
Yeah.
Based on the process goal rather than an output goal. Yeah, it's genius. Love it. It was,
yeah. And I think while we've probably, if I look back, the 2 liters of water, I failed on the 10 pages of the book. I've tried meditation like a few times this year, and it's not for me.
I have as well. You really do have to be in the right state of mind, and it's difficult. It's actually a lot more difficult. It's more difficult than people think. I think it takes a lot of practice.
I have two problems I have with I had with the meditation. One, if I'm in the wrong mindset, which at the moment in the world that we currently are in, and the way that our, how do you call it, not our kind of lifestyle is, let's just say, very rarely in that mindset. And then the only time I normally get to do it is just after I've woken up or just before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm in a cup. I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And it's most people will be like, oh, that's brilliant. You can get to sleep. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have that problem anyway.
Yeah.
The problem is I wanted to work on the meditation and I fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same.
And I think the thing that I've liked most about the Improving Our Health, which is why I'm going to keep it in, but there are limits, I think, to some of the stuff that we can do now. It's probably going to be replaced over the next kind of year with something else. For me, it's been the discussions that we've had over it. That to me, I think, has been the biggest thing that we've had, because we've got quite a jovial podcast. That was our aim. Is like, you know, if we can make one person smile in the world, full Robin Williams, like, somebody got a little bit of joy from it. Fantastic. But also, if we've discussed something on this podcast and gone, do you know what, it didn't work for us, there's almost a lot of pressure around kind of mental health. Like, you should be meditating, you should be journaling, you should be reading 10 pages of a book, you should be drinking loads of water. And if we go, yeah, we've tried that, it sucks, and it didn't work, hopefully and the discussion that we had around it about what does work for us and what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just enlighten one person,
yes,
we've achieved something.
Yeah, or even if it takes the pressure off somebody that's maybe... Yeah, it can be quite crippling if somebody's trying to do the right thing, and that doesn't help your mental health if you keep going down into this spiral, because you think, well, I tried that, I couldn't do it, now I feel like a failure. That's kind of fed into my despair, because I can't do it, and fed into my anxiety, and you know, it's just a vicious circle. I think I think moving forward, it's things for me. It's going to be things like eat just 1 Mars bar, not 2.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I sniggered, I laughed, but actually, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, eat 10 digestives instead of 20.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, for me, obviously, the 4 days a week exercise for me, that's that to me is my.
Dumb, you're smashing that one.
That's my. I mean. What is it? We're on Thursday, so if I class my week starting on Monday, and I've already done the 4 days of exercise this week. Oh no, I've only done 3 because I did have Wednesday off. I normally get shouted that I don't have enough time off, and I did have a sports massage on Tuesday this week, and that was lots of pain. But that to me, exercise, I almost sometimes have to remind myself to stop, because the endorphins become like a drug. It's like, yeah, more. And I have to tell myself to go home from the gym in the morning, otherwise I'm going to be late to work. Hopefully my manager listens to this, can appreciate that I do try to get it on time and sometimes. But it's what works for you. If I don't go to the gym for 3-4 days, or if I don't do something, you know, whether that's taekwondo, whether that's the gym, whether that's go for a run, whether that's go for a swim, whatever it is, if I don't do something after 4 days, I can feel myself, and then you get into like a spiral where I'm like, I'm low, and then I'll get lower because I'll be like, I can't be bothered to go, so then I get lower, and then I can't be bothered to go, and once you get into the other way,
but look.
And that works for me.
All I'm going to say is, as you're kind of going down that slippery slope, I'll be there right at the bottom going, come on, Dom, it's great down. Mate, it's great down here. Come on.
Yeah.
I've got loads of biscuits and crisps.
No, don't say I don't eat the biscuits and the crisps. I just do a lot of exercise at the moment.
Yeah.
And interestingly, that was going to lead me on to one of the things that I think I know I personally struggle with the exercise is, social media, which you mentioned at the top. I don't look like any of the people that are there. I don't have 6-pack and chests as wide as Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I watched Top Gun for the first time yesterday. I watched both yesterday. Why are they so sweaty in the first one? But the thing is, I don't look like any of them when they're playing volleyball or
You need
the sport. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the sport.
filters. That's what you need.
Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty good with Photoshop. Maybe I should.
Yeah,
just
there you
Photoshop
go,
myself.
Dom. You need to fast track.
Body dysmorphia. Woo.
So healthy for. So good for everyone's mental health.
It's funny because we talked about like the civilization going backwards. Social media is definitely to me one of those things that went backwards.
100%.
It's
a shocker.
It's a killer. And if it wasn't for the fact that it's interesting, if it wasn't for the fact that we have the podcast Instagram, I would have deleted Instagram. I think this year because it's so toxic. I got rid of Twitter because I was like, Elon Musk is buying this. I'm getting off of that.
Yeah, quick,
very toot quick. So yeah, I think those were the good ones for me on improving our health. And doing things like that. So I kind of blanked a little bit. I've blanked. That's the first time I've ever done that. I've blanked on a podcast and how to like segue it into the next thing. And I had something else in my mind.
So you just go, talking of topical events. That wasn't seamless, was it? No. That just was not subtle. I'll get my coat.
No. Ooh, get your coat. I did want to mention, by the way, something that just I randomly thought of on this podcast and wanted to get your opinion. We're going to do one poignant question, which I've not written down, and I'm going to catch you completely by surprise by it, just because I was thinking about it. And because we're going to go on to a bit of a rant, and I met someone today that I would call that person this, but it's calling people who are, let's say, complainers, Karens. What do you think of that phrase? That's the question.
Karens?
Yeah, so if someone's like, the way that they do it is they go, you get that mum on the soccer field that would be like, you can't say
yes.
Yeah,
That's an American thing. It's interesting, because all the Karens I've ever known and that I do know, they're all lovely. So
I was going to say that was because that was what came to my head. It came to my head when I was talking about Kasha, because the two Karens that we work with, I put in the same category as like practically perfect.
Yeah, they're amazing. So I don't get that. No, I don't get it. That's an American thing. Let the Americans just deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was just that was the thing that was on my mind. I was like, how do I segue into that? And I was like, no, I'm just going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And just say, let's point a question here. You go.
I don't get that. It doesn't. That doesn't work at all for me, because it's like I say, all the Karens I've ever known and the Karens that I do know, they're amazing. So it's.
I know one Karen who is pretty horrible, but that's not because she's called Karen. She's just a horrible person. She could be called Deborah, Steve,
Jerry,
Fred, whatever. The point being, but yes, it was just that it was that talking about practically perfect, and in fact, the Karen that you work closest with, I think I refer to her as Mary Poppins quite often.
Yeah, she's a legend.
She's a legend. Absolute legend. Yes. Cool. So we've gone through the kind of the three main sections that we were gonna do, and in about the time I thought we were gonna do it. We've got one topical event which has affected me, and and I'm hoping, and I genuinely am hoping that it doesn't affect Jerry. But it's gonna be one of those things where I'm just gonna get my rant boots on.
Lace them up tight.
Lace them up tight. No, they're slip-ons.
Rant espadrilles. I like it.
The topical event that we've got is just around the cancellation of flights that are going on at the moment. So I was supposed to fly out to the Netherlands to compete. Considering I'm competing at a World Cup this year, I am lacking mat time. I have not been on a tournament map for a little while, and I'm missing another tournament next week as well. So really looking forward to going over. Haven't seen the Netherlands folks for, thanks to COVID, nearly 3 years, I think now is the thing. And yeah, so everybody else got the 6 a.m. flight, and I'm thinking, I do not want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive over to Bristol Airport for 4 a.m. to be able to check in for my flight at 6 a.m. to be in the Netherlands at 8 a.m. and then be like, well, what am I going to do from 8 a.m. till I go to bed at 10 p.m. that night? It's, lovely country, but I was like, I need some sleep. Their flight was delayed by 2 hours, I think. Was it 4 hours? Something like that. It was a really long time that they were delayed. So my best mate who was on that flight, Aaron, who I've known for 26 years, when I rang him to tell him I wasn't coming, he was like, I'm really tired. And then they moved the flight. I could have stayed in bed.
That's awful.
But because I was the only one out of all the team members that was like, I'll get the 3 p.m. flight. Gets me in for 5 p.m. into the Netherlands. That's perfect. They cancelled it. And then the earliest that they could get me out, they're like, we could fly you out Tuesday. And I was like, that's great, but my flight back is Monday and the tournament is Sunday. So that's not really good for this Saturday morning, is it?
And it's not really a time-travelling airline either, is it?
No. Well, it's time travelling the wrong direction. It seems to be going backwards.
Yeah.
Again, and it's similar to that. I'm gonna, my rant's gonna start kicking in now. It's similar to that, Civilization, like
level
1.
6.
They have, they're blaming, they're short-staffed. Is the way that they're doing it. We haven't, but it's like in this day and age, we have so much data. Could it not taken, somebody with, half a brain cell to look at that data and go, we might struggle to get all these flights out of this airport here because we won't have enough staff members to do that. Did not think about that, 6 months ago.
Permission to swear.
Permission granted.
So,
I might beep it.
These fuckwits that are responsible for making sure that the scheduling is done properly. You have a plane, you have 10 planes, and on each plane you've got, let's say, 150 seats, right? Why would you take the equivalent of 20 planes worth of bookings with each plane having 200 seats? You fucking idiots. Because they just take the money and they don't give a shit. So they just take all of the money and think, yeah, we got all this money, yeah, we've taken all these bookings, yeah, go on, take another booking. And then they just think, oh, well, yeah, actually, what difference does it make? Fuck it. We've had that money, it's been earning interest in our bank accounts for God knows how long, and now we just cancel the flights, and we've made 10 grand in interest. Ka-ching.
And the stupid thing is, so I'm fortunate. I am grateful on 2 levels. They let me know early enough I hadn't left yet. So I was still at home. So it wasn't like I was stood in the airport going and thinking, oh, for God's sake. Right? So I immediately went on the website, double checked. Yeah, okay, fine. Gave them a quick ring, and I thought I was going to be on the phone for hours. And I literally went straight through to an operator. I wasn't even ready. And I was like, oh wow, that's surprising that I got through. And I said, look, just want to double check. This flight's been cancelled. Yes, I'm really sorry. And then we went, the earliest we can fly you out is Tuesday. Is that good enough? And I went, unfortunately not. I said, okay, I'll put through the refund for you now. Thank you. And I went, what about compensation? Because obviously I've lost money. He said, yep. And directed me on the website to the compensation form. So, that's been done, but that won't get processed to the end of the month. And then the car parking. The car parking was an interesting one because Bristol Airport turned around and said to me, right, we'll charge you £5. That's it. When I cancelled the booking, this is, we'll charge you £5. I was like, hang on, you've already charged me the £65. Are you just going to charge me £5 on top?
To
just
process.
For cancelling. I was like, yeah. There was no information on the email that said you would get a refund. It just said we're charging you £5. Hang on a minute. They did refund me everything but £5, and I have disputed that and gone, hang on a minute, you've cancelled the flight. Give me my. It's £5, but Give me the £5. If you want your £5 back, go and speak to EasyJet, who cancelled my flight. Right? Don't take it on the customer. The silly thing is the maximum compensation you get for the trip that I have is £220 from EasyJet. That's the maximum. Which I'm like, if you're somebody that's booked flights to go, like, if you get a flight cancelled. So in fact, one of the Karens that we're talking about, she got over to, both of them have actually, I think, recently have gone over to Spain, haven't they? This week on, they both went to Spain. One went to Barcelona, one went to Madrid. So Karen that went to Barcelona, she's gone there and come back. Karen that went to Madrid, she hasn't come back yet. Oh, she's due today, but was due on Monday, I think. And so she's spent extra money at the hotel, extra money to rebook flights unless they changed her. But there's talk of people online on the BBC booking £1,000 flights to get home and things like that. And it's like, do you recover that money? Do you charge that? And then little things like, so she's lost 2 days holiday. Well, if you take her actual day rate that she would normally,
exactly. There's
it's
that
like,
as well.
do I charge them for my actual day rate and go, this is my day rate, you pay me back? It can't. It's not sustainable for EasyJet to work like that. If everybody went, well, we need compensation and you need to charge my day rate, and eventually they might go, maybe if we get our sums right, we'll stop losing money.
I'm just staggered by this, because what the fuck did they think was going to happen? What did they think was going to happen? We've been 2 years where we haven't been able to even leave our house and go for a piss or do anything. Why would you leave your house to go for a piss? I don't know. No one has outhouses anymore. But the point being that we haven't been able to do anything. We've literally been in curfew and martial law for the last 2 years. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, actually...
Except for the politicians.
Except for the politicians, of course, because they were living it. They were larging it. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a position where it's like, oh, actually we can. The restrictions have been lifted. We can travel. What did they think was going to happen? Of course, people are going to book, and as those bookings are coming through, it's not like everybody's booked the flight the day before and like, oh, that caught us unawares. Everybody's been booking holidays, and people that are saying, oh, well, there's other sectors. They say, oh, we're not doing as well as we did last year, through COVID. Yeah, because people are spending money on holidays now. They're not spending their money on other things, which, everybody because there was a lack of being able to go away, thought, oh, okay, well, we'll get, I don't know, hot tubs, or we'll invest in our gardens, or that ain't happening now. Now it's gone back to a holiday, and everybody wants to go away and get the hell away from this pissing rain that we've had in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, the
right? It's been a shocker. It's just shit.
It's June. What are you doing, Britain?
Yeah, because everybody was talking themselves into, it's nice to do a staycation. Now that you can travel, people are like, fuck staycation. I'm not staying in this. In this pissing rain. I'm off. I'm going to Spain. Viva la España. So, what did they think was going to happen?
And they, and this is where, so I'll have to rein my rant in now, because this is where my, how do I call it? It's like my social side comes into it, and how, right, people, let's fix the world, right? Because for starters, I am tired of a very conservative-led thought process around money, politics, and everything like that, right? It is scientifically proven that paying people a living wage that they can survive, that they can thrive on, not survive on, that they can thrive on, improves mental health, social equality, and it raises the GP, the growth of the country and everything like that. Cutting does not. Cutting is the wrong thing to do. So the reason why, the airline companies say we're understaffed, it's like, yes, because the wages that you pay do not match inflation. So nobody wants to come and work here, right? The actual, being as working in an airline place, I'd imagine it's pretty rubbish. Like, I would not want to be somebody that's on a complaints desk within an airport right now.
No.
They are like, and they're probably paid like, whatever the minimum wage is for the hours that they're there. And then they have to work like 12 hours a day to keep up with everything. Whereas the EasyJet CEO took a bonus of 735,000 last year. Like, what? That makes no sense. Like, the money equality needs to be solved, and people need to be paid a fair living wage, because it will solve all of that, and then people will come and want to work. There isn't an employment shortage. There is a company morale shortage on how they pay people. And that's the problem.
Love it.
And if you can't then fulfill that, you put on less flights. There'll be less flights. There'll be more demand for that. So in theory, you can charge more, which will bump your profits anyway. But then if you charge, you can, but then you can bring the prices down when you can then put more on when you get the staff in, if you pay the staff amount. And it's little things like people go, oh, petrol prices are gone through the roof, right? And it's I might as well fill my car up with gold, to be honest. It's probably cheaper. Liquid gold. In fact, it'd be cheaper to run my engine on liquid gold, replace the engine rather than fill it up with some fuel at the moment. The point being, right, that's fine, right? Petrol prices have gone up. Then why are the petrol companies making record profits? The problem is, at the moment, is companies are not willing to take a risk. They are moving all of the risk onto their customers. Idiot here that has to buy petrol every 2 weeks. Idiot there that's decided that they want to go abroad. They are taking the risk.
Oh, look.
Until somebody then is held accountable for that, you're never going to get that kind of back into that.
You've got right to the heart of it. They're taking us for mugs, and they're taking the piss out of us because they can get away with it because nobody's held accountable for it. It's like, as I was reading the article earlier on, and now for the first time, on average, we've just reached the tipping point of it costs more than £100 to fill up a car, the average car, and they said that even though the government's put on the 5p, took a 5p levy off the of fuel tax, that hasn't been passed on to any of the consumers. But the funny thing is that they're saying, we need to look into this to make sure that the companies are actually passing on these savings to the customer. Of course they're not. I can tell you that. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah. The companies are thinking, excellent. They're taking, they're giving us basically 5p a litre leeway in terms of tax. So that's extra revenue for us. So we'll just keep the prices the same. What difference is it? No one's going to know because no one's being held accountable for it.
Yeah. So literally the most recent article was the Wizz Air CEO, or it says chief executive, I'm assuming it's CEO, should say staff should go the extra mile when tired so the airline could avoid cancelling flights. No, you should be in the airport with those people doing the same shift that they are.
Yeah.
I get that as a CEO, you have had to work some hard days to get to the position that you're at. But damn it, when your company's in crisis, you should not be taking a £735,000 bonus to do that. That's madness. That makes absolutely no sense. If a company is not making a profit, then its board and its executives should lose money because they clearly are doing something wrong. Right? That to me, it's so logical. I don't understand why it's not a thing, but it just isn't a thing. No company works like that. The risk is always pushed on either to the employees or the customers of your business, and it makes no sense. And it's why I knew that the cancellation of flights, it sucks, right? I was fortunate that I've been able to get my money back, and I'm fortunate that I earn a wage that I'm not worried about the money that I've spent. I am going to make sure that I get the full compensation that I possibly can get from EasyJet because I can, and not much of my time was wasted. If I was somebody that got stuck out there and had to use extra days holiday, I'd be charging them my day rate.
Damn right.
I'd be charging them my day rate.
Right.
plus tax and expenses and things like that. I'm like, yeah, it's madness. And my biggest worry is going to be, the summer. Like, what the heck is going to happen in the summer? I don't know. I can't remember if you're going away in the summer or you're going away before, aren't you?
Next Wednesday.
You're going next Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah.
So, half term should have calmed down though. Then, so.
Yeah.
And
I'm so nervous about this.
And interesting. That's a problem. Right, because you're stressed about going on holiday. How ridiculous does that sound?
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely ridiculous.
How mad is that?
So
I'm flying next Saturday. Because I'm off to Germany. Of course.
We should be look, fingers crossed we should be all right, Dom.
Yeah, we're outside.
Because I think they said it was, for this half term, they were at levels which just 29% more higher in terms of demand than pre-COVID.
Yes.
Which they weren't anticipating because, of course, that if you're getting paid, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands or millions a year, why would you anticipate something as logical as there's going to be lots of demand this year?
I don't understand how you could do that, though. Right, somebody said to me that it was complicated, and I was like, well, it can't be, because an airplane has a set number of seats.
Yeah.
You set the timetable of when flights go in and out, and the airport must have a set capacity of number of planes that can go off. You look at the maximum number of potential passengers. So if every single seat was booked, that's what you prepare for.
Yeah.
Surely.
That's what I'm saying. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. The fact that nobody gets pulled up on it and nobody's held accountable for it is just insane. They're all in on it, Dom. Honestly, as each year passes, the older I get, the more bitter and cynical and just I get, and the more pathetic I see everything for how pathetic it actually is. It is pathetic. There are a handful of people making shed loads of money out of this, and you know what? It's tax revenue for the government as well. So they're not gonna do anything. They couldn't care less if they tried. So the whole thing is just a joke. It's a joke,
absolute joke. So, oh well. Right, rant over. So. What's that? Hour and a half podcast?
Not
for
bad.
Us today?
Not bad. Not 3 bad.
So, yeah, I kind of enjoyed this quicker fire one for us, just to kind of review what we've done. This year I think has been hard for both of us. Like, based on what we've been talking about, the world has not been a great place when we started this in COVID. In one of the lockdowns in COVID. God, was it really? Were we really still in lockdown?
Yeah, we were in
Probably
lockdown.
weren't we?
I think we were.
We've both been to an office at least. There's a few more things. I've now been abroad. I've done a few things like that, but it's still there. It's still a nervousness in the back of my mind. We obviously now have a war going on. We've got risk of recession, country not growing, and the world is very tiring. But I have to admit that this podcast for the last year has definitely kept me going, and improved me as a human in some respects. I've got to spoken to some, Jerry, who, when we talk about perfect people, Jerry, you are up there.
Oh, thank you, Tom. You are too.
And it's. We've got this time that we can it's just us two talking sometimes utter nonsense together, and that's all it matters. And we've laughed, we've ranted, and we've put the world to rights. Complete cod's wallop. And we've loved this year, so we aren't going to stop the podcasts at all. It was very good to look back on what we've done. We've got some good plans coming up, so we've got some really good guests lined up, and I've got some real humdingers to talk about, so absolutely looking forward to this next year. Jerry, for this one, give us your final thoughts.
Stop overbooking. There you go. It's my thought of the day. Let supply meet demand.
Yes.
There you go. X equals Y. There you go.
That was brilliant. That is brilliant. X equals Y.
That's my thought of the
dear.
day. But so perfectly
Love
put,
it.
Dom. Thank you. Yeah, you're spot on. This it's been a life-changing thing for me. I have to say, I'm not saying that in a melodramatic way. It's that thing that I always wanted to do, that creative thing that I wanted to. It's a legacy thing. I'm so glad we're doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah. If nobody listened to this podcast, we still would probably do it.
Yeah, of course.
It's just us two talking.
That's how we roll.
Thank you very much for watching, listening, commenting, taking part, however it is, sending me abuse on WhatsApp, whatever it needs to be, to all the folks. Again, thank you so much to Jerry for being a wonderful co-host and putting up with my rants today.
Thank you, Dom.
We shall leave that here, and we shall catch you on the next one, folks.
Looking forward to it. Take care, everybody.